ESPN did its second MVP straw poll where there are more than 100 voters. I'm one of the official voters. I'm not in the straw poll, but they do poll 100 of their voters. And Rob, 77 of them said Nikola Jokic is the MVP. So that is at this point, I mean, unless something drastic happens, it seems like he's going to win his third straight MVP award. And what are your thoughts on that, Rob?
I don't think they have any choice from the standpoint of the precedent that has been set. He's playing better than the last 2 years that he won it. Numbers wise,
he's not scoring as much,
right? But he's doing a triple double, right?
Right, but he's always been close. He's probably got a couple more assists.
But now he's there
per game,
right? So I'm not surprised, even though I think that there should be more than just looking at, certain numbers, Chris, and just saying, okay, well, he did this because we talked about it before. When he won last year, he had a was it his PER last year? Remember?
And it's sky high again.
Was better than the year before when he won it. So if the writers and the people who look at it, Chris, and I'm not saying you because you're not
right,
you're not like totally bought in, but a lot of the younger writers, who haven't been covering, they just look at those kind of things and they're in love with them. So am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised when you think about there's only two options. Because Steph was playing great early on, right? He got hurt. Right. Kevin Durant was playing great. He got hurt. And the only other one is Giannis.
Well, go ahead.
You have somebody else? Yeah.
Embiid. I actually think the top three are Giannis, Embiid, and Jokic. Because they're all having great seasons. And if Embiid or Jokic, his numbers last year was 27 points a game. This year, 25 or 24.7. Last year, 13.8 rebounds, 11.5 this year. Now he's jumped in assists. It was 7.9 last year. It's 10.1 this year. But I think, Rob, to your point, most of the voters, particularly the young ones, are caught up in the analytics.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying.
They're locked in to the Atlanta
analytics. And if they vote against him, then what was all the other stuff? Do you know what I mean? Like, you feel like I'm not saying everybody does it, but I think there's a lot of them who follow. That's their Bible, and if they go against it, then they gotta. Then is it valid? Does it matter? What are they doing? If these numbers, if you're going to ignore them when it comes time for the MVP vote. So that's why I'm not surprised.
Yeah, my number one right now would be Giannis. And here's why. I have a set criteria, Rob, that I go by to vote. And that's one of the great things, and some would say one of the exasperating things about these votes, the MVP voting. There is no criteria. For some guys, it's the absolute best player in the league. For some guys, it's the best player on the team with the best record. For other guys, it's who was the most valuable to his team. And for other guys, it's another criteria. Here's the criteria I use. Number one, individual dominance. And obviously, we measure that mostly by your statistics. Number two, your team's win-loss record. Number three, your supporting cast. How'd you get to that win-loss record? Number four, the historical impact or meaning of you winning the MVP. And number five, this year, I'm going to look a little bit. It's going to be hard. These three will only play each other twice in 82 games. But I will, when it's close, I'll look at head to head. And so from that precedent, Rob, like I said, Jokic is averaging a triple-double, which is phenomenal, right?
How about 63.2% shooting from the field,
right.
39.1 from three, and 82.2 from the free throw line?
No, his numbers are great, but here's what I'd say. The triple-double, number one, has been watered down. Like, slightly. It's still impressive. It's still a great feat. But Russell Westbrook just did it 4 times. And when he did it the first time, I voted for him, and most people did, and he won. But that be Rob, you know that we never thought we'd see it done.
And it had been so long, right? Such a long drought.
One time, Oscar Robertson did it one time, and then that was it. And so when Russ does it as a 6'3" guard, you think, wow, my goodness, this is incredible. And then he does it so many other times. And now with the game so spread out, the scoring is up, because they shoot so many three-pointers. And mostly, on a lot of teams, one guy dominates the ball. And so it's easier for that one guy to rack up stats. LeBron, Luka, Jokic, Westbrook. You can go on and on. And I think the triple-double isn't quite what it was. So, I'm not just going to say, oh, he averaged a triple-double. He's getting it. I think Giannis's stats, individual dominance, I think Giannis is doing more. Here's why. Yes, Jokic is averaging 4.5 more assists than Giannis. Giannis is averaging 5.5. Jokic 10.1. But Giannis is averaging 8 more points. 32 points to 24 points. Giannis is averaging more rebounds, 13 to 11. Giannis is also not quite shooting 63%, but he's shooting 54%.
I know,
which is
63 is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but everybody's shooting a ridiculous number. Look at the top scores. They're all way over 50%.
No, I get that, but 63, 20 with 20 games left or whatever it is.
No, he's going to do it. It's going to be great. But again, a lot of 7-footers have shot. I mean, Shaq has been 60%. I'm not trying to belittle it. I'm just saying. Here's another stat. Giannis gets to the foul line 13 times a game. Jokic gets there 6 times a game. You know, Rob, what fouls do. I mean, you get that foul that much, you put your opponent in dire straits defensively. Guys are in foul trouble. Your team is in the bonus. That helps you win. And here's we move to the win-loss record. Milwaukee's got the second best record in the league. Denver's got the third, so the records are pretty much a wash. Supporting cast, though. Giannis got his whole team back. Second best player, Jamal Murray's back. Michael Porter Jr. has been playing. Aaron Gordon's having a great year for him. Their whole team is, for the most part, healthy. Giannis, Rob, his second best player, has played 17 games, Chris Middleton. And when he's played, he's been bad. 13 points a game, poor shooting from the floor. He's gone, essentially. And Drew Holiday's having a nice year, but still, without his second best player, Giannis still has them with the second best record in the NBA. And I didn't even bring up the defense, Rob. His defense is essentially the best in the league. We talked about guys shooting high percentages. They're shooting 41% against Giannis, which is number 1 in the league, I believe. And Jokic don't play D. You saw Embiid put 47 and 18 on him, and I mean on him. When they played, Jokic guarded Embiid most of the game, and Embiid was out there like it was you guarding. I'm serious. Post-ups, mid-range, turnaround, face-ups, getting fouled, driving and dunking on him, step-back threes. It was a clinic. It was like what Olajuwon did to David Robinson. And I'm not trying to diss Jokic because he's awesome. But I think Giannis is having a more dominant season on both sides of the ball.
I hear you, but I don't think it's going to register with most of them.
Oh, no, it might not matter to, 77% at this point. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a huge number, Chris, for them to go away already. And the stuff that you pointed out, is Giannis going to be better than what he's done already? You know what I mean? Like, can he get any better than what he's played already? Probably not. And we get it. But a lot of it has to do, and I don't know, can you find out, Chris, or maybe you have it in front of you. I don't have it in front of me. The difference in the number with the PER, like the last 3 years, like what it was
Jokic,
when they voted him the first time.
31.
But the first year that he won it, and then it was better, right? The next year, and now it's better again. And I think we talked about this before. That's what they're going to look at.
Yeah, well, look, they got to. How about being a little deeper, guys?
No,
How about the eye test? How about watching? It's not just one stat. PER.
We talked about this before, right? We talked about, and I'm with you with when you're talking about MVP and what games did you win? You know what I mean? And who did you play? We talked about that with Ohtani and Judge.
Tougher this year, right?
Do you remember that? We were like, Ohtani hit, pitching, it was great, Chris, and he hit well. But they were in last place. And Aaron Judge played on a first place team. That counts. I think that counts for an MVP.
I would say this finally as we close. If Jokic wins it, Rob, he'll be the fourth player ever, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, and Larry Bird.
Which is rarefied air. I mean, my God.
And I think that's what I mean by historical impact. Those three guys won championships. Russell almost won it every year he was in the league. Wilt won his first championship in his second year of the three-peat as far as MVP. So he won MVP again, and won a championship that year, and then won the MVP the next year, even though they didn't win the championship. Bird won it, Rob, the first year he won the MVP. Didn't win it the second year. Then the third year he wins MVP again for a three-peat, and then wins the championship. Jokic ain't even been to the finals.
What if Jokic wins it, though? He wins the MVP
well, that
for the
would
regular
be great
season.
if he wins it
you know
this
what I
year,
mean? And then goes on to win it.
But if he doesn't, it's like, dude, you haven't even got to the finals, and you got 3 straight MVPs.
Yeah,
and
but
so there's an impact. I remember when Dirk won it, and I was looking at giving it to Nash, or I was thinking about it because I thought Nash was close. Nash and Dirk, to me, were the top 2, if I remember correctly. And people were talking about Nash, and I said, you know what? I'm not putting him with Russell, Wilt, and Bird, and he's never even been to a final. And I thought Dirk's numbers were right there and his play, so I went with Dirk. If Jokic is that far ahead of everybody, Rob, and everybody thinks that, then I would go with Jokic. But I think Giannis has been better. And Embiid is right there too.